Welcome to Denome and welcome to this special video. Today we will look at the BRICS organization and the new declaration that is coming out of BRICS. And the shortest version I can put it in is that it is a declaration of war against the United States unipolar world. So that is the shortest version I can put it. Obviously, there's a lot of nuance. They want to be non-confrontational. Obviously, they don't want to escalate it into a war. But Trump knows what this is actually about. And as you can see here, Donald Trump already responded to the declaration saying that any country aligning themselves with the anti-American policies of BRICS will be charged an additional 10% tariff. There will be no exceptions to this policy. Thank you for your attention on this matter. So Trump is not holding back. He knows what's up. BRICS is about to come into the doorsteps of United States. They want to take the global power away from United States and assert their dominance. Now, previously, a lot of people have been joking about BRICS. They're saying that it's not a big deal. They can never do any cooperation. But that changed last year. So when we take a look at the BRICS organizations so far, the original founding members are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which basically spell the initials for BRICS. And then in 2024, they added new BRICS Plus members, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, United Arab Emirates, and then Indonesia joined in 2025. But then there's also the partner states. And as you can see here, basically all of them came in 2024. So Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Nigeria, Thailand, Uganda, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. And then you have a bunch of other countries which are considered to become part of the BRICS organization as well. So when you take a look at all of these countries, they basically represent half of the world's population and they represent half of the world's GDP. These numbers are not exact, but when you take a look at G7, they have already fallen behind in the total GDP compared to these BRICS nations. And the BRICS countries are growing, whereas the G7 countries are basically stagnant. So this is a major power shift in the world. So when they make a declaration, that means that you have to take it seriously because it will have implications for the global world order. So now let's actually hop over and take a look at this declaration here. There's 31 pages. There's a lot of mumbo jumbo here. So this video from now on will be a little bit, let's say, boring, but I will add my own analysis on top of these points when I see a reason to make a point here. So let's actually start from the top here. You can see this was signed on 6th of July, right at the end or the final day of the BRICS summit of 2025. Actually, before I do show that, let me just show you who were basically represented here, and you can get an idea of the what was the summit about. So this was one photo of the summit, and then obviously here you can see the Prime Minister of India at the center. President of Brazil is here. Then you had the delegation from China, and here is Lavrov from Russia, and then I think this guy is from United Arab Emirates, and then you had a bunch of the other partner states here as well. So that was the summit there. So this declaration here is basically signed by all of those countries, including India. So let's take a look at this declaration here. There's, by the way, 126 points. And what they're talking about here is sovereignty, equality, solidarity, democracy, openness, inclusiveness, collaboration, consensus, security, economic, financial, cultural, people-to-people cooperation. So again, like I said, a lot of mumbo jumbo, good sounding words, and you will see a lot more of those going further. So in the beginning, they welcome the new partners: Indonesia, Belarus, Bolivia, Kazakhstan, Cuba, Nigeria, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Uganda, Uzbekistan as BRICS partner countries. And the fourth point, they focus on climate change. And this is important going into the future because you will start to see a lot of parallels between the BRICS organization and the United Nations organization. And I will point those out as we read through. They want to focus on elimination of socially determined diseases. Does this sound like WHO to you? In my opinion, yes. So this is the most important word probably in the whole document, global governance. So this is the takeover that I was talking about to promote more just, equitable, agile, effective, efficient, responsive, representative, legitimate, democratic, and accountable international and multilateral system. Again, bunch of mumbo jumbo, but it basically means a takeover of the current political global governance systems. And here they have a bunch of different annexes. So Pact of the Future at the Summit of the Future, Global Digital Compact, Declaration of Future Generations, and everything is basically aligned according to the Charter of the United Nations, UN. So they want international peace and security, advanced sustainable development. All of these words are basically what you hear from United Nations. And that's what scares me, to be honest. And that's why I understand Donald Trump and the hostility from United States against BRICS and also against the United Nations. So let's continue further, and the similarities between the United Nations and the BRICS will become more clear. So they want to reform the United Nations, including its Security Council, which United States is part of, obviously. So here they say they want BRICS countries to play a greater role in international affairs, including its Security Council. So they basically want to take out the veto rights from the United States. And they want to support the aspirations of Brazil and India to play a greater role in the United Nations. This was point number 6. Then Global South as a driver for positive change, so they want to promote that. Urgent need to reform the Bretton Woods system. And here is another key point. Bretton Woods system is the current financial system where the United States dollar is basically the world reserve currency. So they want to basically attack the Bretton Woods system and implement some other system in its place. They want to reform the governance structure for the Bretton Woods institution, uh, and then this is going to be important also down the line. They want to improve or increase the amount of women at the managerial level of these different organizations like the IMF and the what is this, WBG. I don't even know what that is. I don't think it's important. There's a lot of different acronyms here. So let's just continue. So International Monetary Fund, they want to basically change the quota realignment. So more BRICS countries would be part of that organization, reflecting countries' relative position in global economy. So again, because the BRICS countries are growing, they want to have more power in those positions, obviously. EMDEs, that is the acronym for emerging markets and developing economies. So basically the BRICS countries. And then they basically attack the World Bank, and they want more representation from developing countries in the World Bank as well. And then they attack the Trump's tariffs here. So indiscriminate rising of tariffs, protectionism under the guise of environmental objectives, tariff and non-tariff measures distort trade, inconsistent with the World Trade Organization rules. Restore credibility of the multilateral trading system. We strongly support Ethiopia's and Iran's bid for accession to the World Trade Organization. Obviously, they want that. They condemn coercive measures from the financial side, economic sanctions and secondary sanctions, basically against Russia. They want to promote food security, health, development, human rights, all these usual things according to the United Nations Charter. Global health governance, they throw that word also in here. So they want to basically create their own systems for global health governance. So more surveillance throughout BRICS countries. They underscore the role of the World Health Organization as the directing and coordinating authority on international health work. So now I'm already gonna spill out the beans what I think of this whole declaration here. Then we will continue to read further. So when we compare the goals of the BRICS organization and we contrast that with the goals of the United Nations, they are basically the same exact thing. So 2030 agenda from United Nations, I almost made a video specifically about this because this is one of the scariest documents I've ever seen. And especially before Trump won the presidency, I was really worried that they actually implement this Agenda 2030 because it's basically a world government for surveillance, loss of privacy in the name of health and security and equality and all these things. So by 2030, they want to implement this agenda in the United Nations to basically end poverty and hunger everywhere. Peaceful, just, inclusive societies, protect human rights, and promote gender equality. And this agenda is accepted by all countries, and this agenda is applicable to all countries as well. This basically was implemented before Trump took office, and now obviously you start to understand why Donald Trump wants to distance himself from this organization, because the BRICS organization, in my opinion, has taken control of the United Nations and of the World Health Organization. And this is basically the globalist agenda, what Donald Trump has been fighting against. So here in the BRICS agenda, once again, I'm not going to go through the whole list of these agenda points. It basically reads exactly like this BRICS declaration here. So it's basically the same exact thing. There's, what was it, 170 points here, plus 64 extra points or something like that in the 17 sustainability goals laid out by the United Nations. So let's actually continue here what the BRICS declaration says. So they want that no country is left behind in achieving health-related sustainable development goals, which are the United Nations goals. They want global governance for AI. They want to address the needs of all countries, including those of the global south. They express alarm for global military spending, basically contrasting completely what NATO is trying to do and what Donald Trump has been trying to do by increasing the military budget of the countries to represent 5% of their GDPs. A multilateral approach that respects diverse national viewpoints, global response to climate change agenda, and respect international humanitarian law, advancement of women, peace and security agenda, full, equal, safe, and meaningful participation of women in decision making at all levels. Personally, there's a lot of mentions for women and the promotion of women's rights and women in positions of power. But when we actually take a look at what BRICS countries themselves are doing, do you see any women in this photo here in the BRICS summit? I see 3 women. So here is 1, 2, and 3. But all of the other people are men. So when they talk about more women in the positions of power, who are they lecturing to? From my perspective, how I'm reading this document and contrasting that to reality, it seems like they want to corrupt the Western countries. And this whole agenda is not meant for the global south, for BRICS countries. This agenda, the United Nations agenda, is meant for Western countries to implement. And then that means if their organizations are corrupted, then obviously they can implement whatever they want on top of it. So that's basically, in my opinion, what they actually really promote. Not that there's anything wrong in having more women in the in positions of power, but clearly they do not do that themselves. That's basically what I'm getting at. So why else would they promote this if they don't themselves do it? So obviously they want to do some harm with it. So they condemn the military strikes against Iran. Obviously, they have concern over the deliberate attacks over the peaceful nuclear facilities, which I think makes a lot of sense. That's basically what Russia was condemned for before, but now United States did the same thing, and then suddenly it's not a big deal. Then basically over Ukraine, they want dialogue and diplomacy, but they don't condemn Russia for it, which is funny. Then they talk about the occupied Palestinian territory, so they express grave concern for it, and then they basically support the two-state solution for Palestine here. Gaza Strip is an inseparable part of the occupied Palestinian territory, unifying the West Bank and the Gaza Strip under Palestinian Authority and independent state of Palestine. That's what they want as well. And that's obviously something I also think makes more sense than the genocide going on in Israel and by Israel in Palestine at the moment. But then they talk about the Israel-Palestinian conflict here, so we can skip through all of that. They condemn the attacks on some civilian structures in Russia in 2025 as well. Clearly, you see that this is a lobbying organization for Russia and for other BRICS countries. And then there's a lot of things we can skip over. And then this is the interesting part, especially if you're a crypto trader or you try to invest in gold or Bitcoin. They want to deepen the international economic trade and financial cooperation between BRICS countries. So now they welcome the results of Strategy for BRICS Economic Partnership 2025. And they want to basically, they are looking forward to the conclusion and implementation of this strategy by, take a look at it, 2030. So there's the number once again, the Agenda 2030. So with that, they want to mitigate the exchange rate risks, which is obviously a good goal. And then they want to promote climate resilient infrastructure. And who makes most of the climate change infrastructure in the planet? That is China. So they want basically clients for China. That is obviously what they want with when they say climate resilient infrastructure. So China gets the money. Then this is the important point here, new development bank. So they have a couple of new members in the new development bank this year. So now the total amount of members in the new development bank is 11. So they talk about the expansion of the new development bank, and they what they want to do is not basically implement a BRICS currency. That is out of the table now. So they want to expand local currency financing. So they want to support their own individual currencies. And that is the actual plan here going further. And then they want to expand the amount of membership states in the new development bank in the future as well. So now let me pause here for a while and let's talk about the new development bank, what it is actually about, and what it means for the future. So new development bank, this was actually set up in 2014 in another BRICS summit. And the initial capital was $100 billion. And since then, after this $100 billion capital was allocated, they have spent so far about $40 billion of the capital. I don't know if they made any money back on it already, but so far they've invested $40 billion from that bank. And the shares of this new development bank were equally distributed among the 5 founding countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So previously I have stated that this is basically owned by China, but it's actually owned by those 5 countries. The headquarters are in Shanghai, China, on the other hand. And this is the important part of the new development bank, what it's actually about. So they want to simplify mutual settlement. So this is the bank eventually for final settlement of transactions. And is basically a replacement of the current banking system, which is the SWIFT banking system, which is controlled by Western countries. So Russia, for example, after the war started between Russia and Ukraine, they got removed from the SWIFT banking system. And this new development bank is basically the foundation of another banking system where they can have final settlement, where they basically cannot be sanctioned from the global finance. They can at least transact through other BRICS countries through the new development bank. So that is the most important thing what the new development bank is for, but they also invest in sustainable development, climate change, poverty, hunger, all these things as well. So then this is the important part. They want to reduce the dependency of the United States dollar and the euro. And like we saw here, they want to expand local currency financing of the BRICS countries, diversify funding sources, and so on and so forth. So that's the big thing here. So this is undermining the values of euro and the value of the dollar as well in global finance. And that is good if you are an investor for gold, if you're an investor for Bitcoin, because when those currencies go down, that is obviously good for Bitcoin as like a neutral money in the global economic system. Then let's continue here. Financial resilience de-risk strategic investment through the BRICS multilateral guarantees initiative, improve credit worthiness in the BRICS and the global south, building on the lessons of international experiences. This is directly referencing the sanctions that were placed against Russia and Iran, I believe so. And then they say some reports they will be able to do by 2026. So BRICS Interbank Cooperation Mechanism, another acronym here, facilitating innovative financial practices and so on and so forth. Ministers of Finance and central bank governors are part of their task force as appropriate to continue the discussion after this summit. BRICS Cross-Border Payments Initiative, greater interoperability between BRICS payment systems, fast, low-cost, more accessible, efficient, transparent, and safe cross-border payments across among BRICS countries. And then after all of this, this is basically attacking the global West or the Western countries. But after this point, then they actually start to talk about how they're going to implement these things inside the BRICS countries. And that's basically what scares me, because this implies a global surveillance inside BRICS countries. So previously, if you wanted to basically escape the Western matrix and you went to to a developing country, you could do interesting uh, um, tax solutions for yourself and many other things, and they are basically coming to an end through the BRICS organization, and that is scary to me. So BRICS Rapid Information Security Channel, this is for the national securities, obviously, information security and financial technology put into this one database. Supply chain resilience, and then secure digital economy, digital connectivity, resilient, safe, inclusive, interoperable digital public infrastructure. So basically, if you are in any of the BRICS countries, then China knows what you are doing, and China can basically rat you out to the local authorities if you are doing whatever you are doing in another BRICS country. So you cannot mix finances in many different countries anymore if this is actually implemented. Digital infrastructure to ensure integrity, stability, security, and avoiding internet fragmentation. This could imply censorship down the line. Any aspects of internet use, including security ones. So this is where it gets dystopian, obviously. Then there's a lot of explanation of these points. Interoperable framework on data governance, cross-border data flows, ethical use of data doesn't mean anything for them, obviously. Cross-border e-commerce, and some other things here. Global food security and nutrition. Family farmers, they want to support family farmers as essential stakeholders, women and youth mentioned here once again. But then this is where it comes, like they say all of these nice things here. Then comes the bomb, smallholder farmers to ensure fair pricing. So they want to be in control of pricing mechanisms for sustainable agricultural value chains. So they basically want to take control over the digitalization of agriculture, to put them all in one unified system. And then they say all of that, when you basically give a central control, then all of these good things, productivity, sustainability, food security, pesticides, viruses, all of these things are under control if only you give us central control. That's the sustainable transition. That's the goal here. Establish a grain trading platform within BRICS, the BRICS grain exchange, emergency responses and natural disaster management, reducing food loss and waste, prevention and control of dangerous diseases and pests under unified electronic certification system, implement technologies and innovation and ensure food security, intra-BRICS trade and agricultural products, anti-competitive cross-border practices. So if you are undercutting a monopoly, then you are taken out, obviously, because you are doing some anti-competitive activities in your local farm. So that's what they say will bring a healthy market environment. Elimination of monopoly barriers. So they say it outright that they want to eliminate monopoly barriers. Not they want to end monopolies, but they want to end the barriers for monopolies in socially important markets, whatever that means. Then cooperation in the field of standardization. So they want to standardize everything in the countries, obviously. And here where it gets really interesting, international tax system fit for the 21st century. We restate our commitment to tax transparency, coordination between tax authorities, allocating of taxing rights, and combat tax evasion, tax related illicit financial flows. Harness the potential of digital nomads. So if you're a digital nomad, then they are coming after you as agents of local development and cultural exchange, which means they are coming for your taxes. Sustainable development goals according to United Nations once again. And then they want to combat climate change and promote sustainable, fair, inclusive development and affordable climate finance. So this is where it gets interesting. So now the focus is back on the West. So they want the Western countries to continue financing this agenda here. So mutually recognized methodologies and standards. Once again, they're talking about that. It was actually said here, affordable climate finance for developing countries is critical for enabling just transition pathways that combine climate action with sustainable development. So they want money from the West to implement all these different things here. Obviously, they want open international economic system to address the problems of climate change. Uh, Sorry, this is just funny to me. Acknowledging our shared responsibility as both major producers and consumers of energy, they want just and inclusive energy transitions. So whenever you buy solar panels, you have to buy them from China, obviously. Energy security by ensuring energy market stability. So they want to take over the market mechanisms. The exchanges will be owned by BRICS, including the cross-border infrastructure, obviously. And then they talk about the Paris Agreement, like, hey, you just signed this UN document. Now, obviously, you need to give us money so we can implement this dystopian future. So developing countries have to have access to low cost and concessional finance from developed to developing countries. So they go straight ahead and just say that we want your money. Then we urge developed countries to ensure the provision of adequate, effective, predictable, timely, and accessible financial resources to developing countries. So this is just getting completely bonkers here. So we encourage potential donor countries to announce ambitious contributions for our projects here. And then we have the BRICS Youth Environmental Network, desertification and land degradation and drought. So they want to fight against this. How? By urging developed countries to increase financial resources to us. So they just want money from the Western countries, from all of these nice sounding things here. Global environmental governance, once again, rights and benefits of women and persons with disabilities. They want to promote that, at least on a paper. Global governance as well, promotion and protection of democracy. How many of the big BRICS countries can be deemed as a democracy in truth? Would you say China is a democracy? Would you say Iran is a democracy? Would you say many other countries are democracies? Not exactly, but that's what they are promoting here, supposedly. Fight against racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia. And then again, they talk about getting more money from the West through reparations, which is basically a money transfer for previous destructive legacy of colonialism and the slave trade. So they want more money for Africa. They want to advance women's rights and leadership across all sectors, especially in Western countries, obviously. Women's empowerment, ensuring their full, equal, and meaningful participation in all spheres of society, um, uh, including access to education and trading, and in decision making processes. Women and girls in sustainable development, women's safety, bridging the digital divide, including the gender digital gap, whatever that means. And then we can go a little bit further down here. A vital role of women's economic participation in driving sustainable growth to tackle structural barriers, especially in access to credit. This is where this is what this is really about. So they want women in positions of power. So women are easier to convince to give money to the developing countries. I believe that is the case. That's why they want the women in those positions. Education and healthcare. We acknowledge women's contribution, so they acknowledge that women have given them a lot of money in advancing climate smart agriculture, sustainable and digital economy, and they support women-led businesses. And then they want to strengthen governance and disaster risk reduction, and then they extend full support to India for its BRICS chairship in 2026. And that's basically the document here. So my final thoughts for all of this mumbo jumbo here is this document is almost 100% aligned with whatever United Nations have been pushing, the woke ideology and all these things. It seems to me that China and the BRICS countries have taken control of the United Nations, and they are pushing the woke agenda through the United Nations onto the Western countries, and while they themselves are basically just wanting the money from the Western countries at the same time. That, in my opinion, seems to be the case. And that's why Donald Trump is fighting against the BRICS countries and fighting against the United Nations and basically distancing itself from the United Nations and WHO as well. So now you understand what is the situation between USA, the West, and the BRICS countries. Now, personally, I think it's a good thing that the BRICS organizations challenge the West, but there should be a balance of power where neither side gets too strong. Because if one side gets strong, it seems to me both sides basically want global governance, and they want to take out your privacy. They want to uh, have their own censorship rules. Doesn't matter if you're in the West or in the BRICS countries. They all want global domination, and that's not what I personally want. That's why I support gold. That's why I support Bitcoin. That's why I support crypto as well. If you like this kind of update, let me know in the comments what you thought of this declaration. What do you think of Trump now after reading this document? I personally like Trump a little bit more after reading this than before. But at the same time, I don't support whatever Trump is doing with these wars, and not just focusing on fixing the country internally, and now basically getting the Epstein clients off the hook. So I don't like that side. I like this side. I try to be somewhere in the middle, and that's my final points. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks, and bye bye.